This new DLC will change Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 forever when it comes to the lore, the gameplay, and how the next 3 future DLCs will actually look just based on this one. Hello everyone, it's me again, Steve Doge here, back with more Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, and this time we're going to be talking about the Future Saga Chapter 1 DLC. Now obviously it's called Chapter 1, so we know there's going to be a Chapter 2, but there's 4 of these, and I can't believe there'd be 4 things to focus on in the Future Saga. We can guess some things based on the lore of just saying Future Saga alone. Now we do know the Future Saga obviously is supposed to mainly contain Trunks, Future Gohan, the androids, and the Goku Black arc. However, the Future Saga in Xenoverse 2 is very different, where it has characters like Jiren and Tapion in it. So that does make me believe that characters like Tapion actually have the potential chance of showing up, or at least adding to the lore of this, since they were already here in the Future Saga originally. It's not too much of a stretch to say that, you know, they're going to show up again here. We already know weird decisions like making Ultra Super Villain Vegeta real, that they actually do plan to obviously, you know, change the story a lot. Like Battle of Gods Vegeta existing where Battle of Gods Goku's supposed to be, then Super Villain Vegeta obviously overrides him once Fu gives him the Dark Power-Up. You know, things are going to be very different in this story. And that's honestly going to change, shape the future, I guess. Or change the future! That's what I was going to say. It's going to change the future of how the DLCs after that is going to go. Because obviously we'll get a Future Saga Chapter 2, which I imagine would obviously focus on Fused Zamasu maybe Tapion, have 2 more swordsmen fight each other. And with the Ultra Super Villain power-ups, honestly, I could see new gameplay things being added to the game, or I guess old gameplay things being added to the game finally, such as potentially a super villain final form Mira, since Mira final form is a character that's still unplayable. But the reason why I think this is because Fused Zamasu actually has a, well, half corrupted Fused Zamasu has a good chance of becoming a playable character if he actually does get the Ultra Super Villain form. Now, for people who know, obviously final boss characters like, you know, half corrupted Fused Zamasu and Final Form Mira are not playable characters. However, with these new storylines, there's a good chance that we will you know, unlock these characters. In fact, we might even get new mentors too, or new mentor moves. We haven't had new mentors, I think, in a really long time. We have had custom mentors, sure, but we haven't had actually new mentors in a while, and that could potentially happen with this DLC. So I'm very curious to see. And if not new mentors, we'll just unlock the super attacks the way we normally do through parallel quests to other events, etc., etc. And I do think this could actually add quite a bit to the gameplay mechanics if they do actually add new characters, for, like, you know, new unplayable characters, new forms for characters, etc., etc. And by new forms, I mean new original forms for characters. We're finally getting weird stuff like Ultra Super Villain Vegeta in the Super Saiyan God form, which basically, again, you know, Ultra Ego, whatever. It's basically just a new form, actually, which is really curious. The Future Saga will obviously reshape the course of the Xenoverse universe, and I should say, actually, that technically, Supervillain modes is what started the Xenoverse story, but I'm kind of glad, in a way. I feel a little bit nostalgic of Ultra Super Villain returning Xenoverse 2 back to its course of these super powered up dark enhanced characters wrecking the timeline once again. I mean, ever since Xenoverse 1, we had to deal with like Super Villain Frieza, you know, all these other characters using moves like Baked Sophia, Super Villain Vegeta. Now in Xenoverse 2, we have different Super Villain states. We got like Super Villain Yamcha and Super Villain Hercule and stuff, but they're not anywhere near as cool, or I don't even think their designs are better. But the Ultra Super Villains, I think, easily have the best designs by far, because their aura doesn't actually like interrupt or intrude with the rest of the character's regular design. And on top of Supervillain mode actually returning us, I guess, back to Xenoverse 1's roots, because for the longest time, I think all of our DLCs, or all of our, I guess, Supervillain Evil type characters have just been appearing over the regular story with literally 0 changes to it. A good example is, oh, now Toppo has the evil power-up, and his fight with Vegeta, like, doesn't change at all. And, you know, all these other things happen with these characters, and it basically doesn't change. I think the only change, maybe, was Gogeta having to fight Broly in his base form and Super Saiyan, but that was only because they messed up DBS Gogeta and made him not have base form and Super Saiyan to begin with. So when they could add that as a paid DLC character later, they could also just change the story to be like, oh, well, now Gogeta doesn't have blue form to fight Broly, and Broly's got the Super Villain power-up. Isn't that different? It's not really different. It's still Gogeta versus Broly with, like, no differences. You know, the Cell Max, like, versus Beast Gohan, like, Xenoverse 2 fight is, like, interesting, but really, I think the main things that people like in that story expansion, I guess, is the choice of Android 16 or Gamma 2, and the cutscene where Gohan and Piccolo both Special Mechanic and Cell Max. Other than that, it's not really, it's just Gohan Beast versus Cell Max. I do want to see the Ultra Super Villain forms return, because they actually do look like they make quite the impact on the story. The same way they did in, even in Xenoverse 2, they make at least a somewhat of an impact on the story, right? Like already in the trailers, we could see that Vegeta replaces Goku not only in Battle of Gods, but gets an evil power-up that makes him, I guess, on a level where Beerus is not only interested in fighting him, but where Goku has to fight Vegeta to calm him down. And we see something similar happen with the Goku Black arc, where Goku is still in Zamasu's body, which will make some great great gameplay. I cannot wait to do that mission where you get to hear Zamasu's voice actor do his best Goku impression in English and in Japanese, right? Do his best Goku impression while you go through a new fight with Goku Black and he uses like the siphon over his things. That's gonna be real. That's gonna be a blast. I can't wait. I genuinely can't wait to play that. I think you know, now that I mentioned it, that voice acting shtick with the extra new missions, that is actually that's actually a new, fresh experience that players can actually enjoy, right? Like, don't get me wrong, playing superhero again with Beast Gohan on your side and fighting Cell Max and all that stuff, that's cool, but that's not new. We watched that movie. That movie was out for like a year and a half, maybe, by the time that DLC came out. So we've seen that before. We haven't seen the scenario with Goku Black with the Ultra Supervillain while teaming up with Zamasu, well, Goku in Zamasu's body to fight Goku Black. We haven't seen the Super Saiyan God versus Beerus scenario, I think, in any Dragon Ball media. Maybe Super Dragon Ball Heroes has done it, but I'm pretty sure that is actually just new material outright, especially with the fake or Walmart Ultra Ego that people want to call it. We haven't seen a fake Walmart Ultra Ego Vegeta versus Super Saiyan God Goku. In fact, we haven't even seen Super Saiyan God Vegeta versus Super Saiyan God Goku. So these are all like fresh new experiences that we are actually going to have for the first time in Dragon Ball. Not to mention, we're going to play them. So I think not only is that like just a nice way to make people want to be invested enough to actually play the DLC, it also helps expand the Dragon Ball universe by having all these possibilities be available. Because it means other cool stuff could potentially happen, you know? I mean, hopefully one day, right? Vegeta versus Broly will be outside of just one Dragon Ball Legend summoning animation. I would like to see, you know, different weird events take place in the Dragon Ball universe exclusively due to messing around with time. After all, that's what Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is supposed to be anyways, right? So, come on, you know, come on. In general, I think the Future Saga DLC is actually taking the right steps to giving Xenoverse 2, I guess, its freedom back. Xenoverse 2, I feel like, is a game that's been held down by really random decisions, such as having to follow the anime story almost exactly, with very slight changes, like, oh, we put Cooler there, and we put Turles and Slug here. And I guess Metacooler will show up here. You know what? Metacooler could show up in the next arc too. You know what? Metacooler should show up in Revival F as well. It's like, I feel like it's just very slight changes that don't actually enhance the story at all, and in fact make certain parts worse and in fact really long and boring to get through. But now it's actually finally doing interesting stuff. If, obviously, again, depending on how this DLC goes, because so far it looks like it's going great for the story, there'll be tons of new, unique events, and I cannot wait to see them, because, again, this is only the first part. We don't know what's coming in part 2, well, other than the fact that Future Saga is called Chapter 1, so we're most likely getting a Chapter 2. But even if I wanted to say, oh, it's the Future Saga, they'll probably have the Android shop with super villain modes, or Super 17 shop with a super villain mode, or like Fuse the Master shop with a super villain mode. I can't tell you what happens after that, because it's not just covering the anime or the movies again, right? Because they're actually making like huge differences. The only guesses I can make would be, oh, well, maybe DBS Broly will appear in one of them as an ultra super villain, right? Because he's a popular character. But again, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll just be Baby instead as an ultra super villain and have the moves he has in Great Ape in his base form. It could be anything. So this is doing a lot to expand Xenoverse 2's storyline, or in general, just the possibilities Xenoverse 2 has available to it. And I genuinely just can't wait to see what they do with this, because this is a wellspring of like freedom, you know? Xenoverse 2 has needed this freedom for a while. And I'm glad it's getting it, at least in an offline story capacity, right? I'd still like them to fix the netcode more than anything else, but this is cool. And I think that's a majorly awesome place to leave the video, guys. I think we talked about a lot of important things today when it came to the Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 DLC and the future of it and how it'll affect Xenoverse 2. I genuinely think that this is the right path Xenoverse 2 should have been on the whole time. I mean, I think I've been saying this since the extra stories back in DLC 6. Those are amazing subversions of what's happening in the Dragon Ball verse, but with the time manipulation and all the other messed up things going, such as Goku and Vegeta training in Whis' weird hyperbolic time chamber room inside of the staff, and unlocking Super Saiyan 4 rather than Super Saiyan Blue. And then you guys having to beat the crap out of them, beat them senseless, so that way they can go back to the right path of Blue, and think that it was just a bad dream that they had. You know, so many interesting moments, like the androids being revived and interrupting Cell before the Cell games actually starts. And you have to obviously save Cell so the Cell game starts. But it's, you know, this is the path Xenoverse 2 should be on. Like the Mandalorian says, this is the way. So I don't want to yap. I yapped enough already. I hope you guys enjoyed the video again. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, as it greatly supports the channel. And that'll be it. Love you all. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Take care and peace.